And in order to do that, they needed a plant that could easily grow without chemicals. And they went back to Emmer. Emmer was grown extensively in Europe up to about 1,000 years ago, and to a lesser extent up to about 100 years ago. It never attained the stature of Spelt. It was another old grain that was used for noodles a lot, noodles and pasta. So now they were growing, the government was paying farmers to grow this Emmer as wildlife crops without chemicals. And then along come these guys who are promoting regional, local agriculture. And they're saying, well, you're growing this already, why not use it as a food product? And these chefs, they just really like the taste of the grain, so this market is developing in kind of a roundabout way. And one brewery started making malt out of it and then beer. And they actually won the second prize, the second best beer of Europe 2 years ago for Emmer beer. Okay, so then I'm trying to find out about this here crop. This is Camelina, and it's an oil crop. And nicely enough, I get invited to this conference of Camelina producers. And that takes place in the Saarland, and that was really interesting. In the mid-1990s, the European Union did a continent-wide study on oilseeds in general. Back then, it was kind of tied in with the whole biofuel trend. And Camelina was one of the crops they looked at. Camelina is a brassica. It's a relative of broccoli, kale, mustard, canola. And it's got very tiny seeds. There are 350,000 seeds in 1 pound of Camelina. And then these guys at Munster, there's a big institute that analyzes food oils, and they took a look at this Camelina oil, cold pressed version, and they were just amazed at what they are finding out about it. Namely, it's very high in omega-3. And one issue with omega-3, according to the scientists that spoke at this conference, is that it's not only your intake of omega-3 that's important, but the ratio of omega-6 to omega-3, because both fatty acids compete for the same enzyme system. And the numbers are pretty amazing. The ratio in people's diets from omega-6 to omega-3, in Japan the ratio is 4. In rural India, as high as 6. In the USA, 16.7. And you compare that to the Stone Age, back then it was 0.8. So the scientists are arguing that Camelina would just be the perfect herbal oil to consume, because the ratio in Camelina is 1 omega-6 to 2.3 omega-3s. So it can really bring up the omega-3 ratio in a person's diet. Another thing, the most common way people right now consume omega-3 is either flaxseed oil or fish oil. And they consume it as supplement. And there was a naturopath at this conference, and she pointed out that it's really hard to get people to take supplements regularly. So it's much easier to have an oil that you put on the kitchen table, and every time you make a salad, you use the oil. You know, as a food, it's a lot of, people just use it more often than they use supplements. That's what she was saying. Also, Camelina contains high levels of gamma tocopherol, which is vitamin E, and it keeps the oil much more stable than flax oil. Flax oil is notorious for not keeping very well. And fish oil, of course, you know, you have the problem with mercury. And some people don't like the taste too much. So, but where this plant really figures is in a whole new system of organic farming. Around 1990s, these progressive organic farmers started discussing what they call mish culture, which is blended culture in the fields. In other words, growing more than one crop intermingled in the same field. The argument is that's closer to nature. If you look at a meadow or something, there's always plant communities. There's always more than, you know, just one grass or one flower. It just kind of mixes. But in order to do that, you have to design a system that can be harvested at the same time. You've got to find plants that kind of, you know, play well with others, so to speak. And this plant here, Camelina, came along just at that time, thanks to the biofuel research. And they designed two systems. One, they grow wheat, peas, and Camelina all together. It all matures about the same time. The other system, they grow barley, lupin, and Camelina together. And when they did that and submitted a sample to the masters over there, they were really surprised at how well the barley malt was. It was such high quality that the breweries, a group of breweries, actually started funding Camelina research in Germany. One of the best things about a mish culture system is that when you look at the soil, you have all these microbes, and each plant type attracts certain types of microbes. So if you have a field of wheat or spelt, then you have just one group of microbes. But if you've got an oilseed, a brassica, a legume, and a grain, you have all these different microbes, and it really raises the level of vitamin C of the soil. So that's the main new ideas. And in Austria and the Saarland of Germany, there is actually the majority of Camelina today is farmed in these mixed-culture systems. And we at Spelt Farms, this is the first year we're going to be trying it over here. Don't know how it's going to work, but it's just common sense to grow more plants together. You know, we don't know what we'll get into but you've got to separate these crops after harvest. That could be a little bit tricky.